Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Thursday, February 20th, 2025. Since I just said welcome to our daily sketching routine, I'm going to call this video the daily sketching routine. Since I say it in every video, thought I could talk about that while sketching. But before we begin, welcome back if you're returning, and welcome if you're new to the channel. I do sketch and post every day, and I set a timer to stay focused and to build a habit. So that's basically the sketching routine. So I'll just kind of talk about that, and maybe for future reference, if I need to link to a video, I can link to this one. It's going to be similar to what I've been doing this week, which I was just sketching from imagination. But this time I just opened up my Pinterest homepage, and so it's random. And luckily it hasn't been too overtaken by AI, although it can be. But yeah, you kind of have to sort through all of that. But I like that it's random, and I'm not going to, but although it's based upon things that I've pinned or whatever, and I'm not going to zoom in, I'm just going to keep it as like a thumbnail. So yeah, there's no subject matter per se other than just sketching. And that'll be, I think, a little bit closer to kind of how I sketch, just if I'm not necessarily thinking about making a video and sort of explaining what I'm doing. And I feel like I've done a lot of videos where I sort of explain what this is, but I thought it would be good to do a video where I just kind of talk about the importance of having a routine. It doesn't have to be daily, but for me, I did work myself up to like having a daily sketching routine. And I've talked about resistance and like art blocks, stuff like that. And also like how I've dealt with it over the years. I've had one kind of recent, and it took a while. So it's like, if it's an art block, it's not going to be done overnight. So one of the ways that I dealt with it was I started having a daily sketching routine. And at first I just set a 1-minute timer, but actually the way I really got back into it was there were times where I couldn't really sketch, like I didn't want to, or I mean like I couldn't, that kind of thing. And I was still able to journal, and so that was actually I feel like they're pretty related, the idea of keeping a sketchbook and keeping a journal. I think they sort of go together. And so that's actually how I started sketching again, because I was journaling anyway, just to deal with the art block. And so I started to just sketch something like small in the sketchbook, in the journal. So that's really how I got back into it. And so that way I didn't even set a timer or whatever. I just kind of doodled something in my journal. So I don't know how far I'm going to get with this sketch, but it's okay. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got into it. And then I started doing the 1-minute timer type stuff. And like I said, it took time. It wasn't like an overnight thing. Sometimes it would take months, or in a way it's taken years too. Because even when I started this channel, I was still going through that. So yeah, and like other like can come up, and so the point is that I'm still using the daily sketching routine, and that in fact this channel was originally called Sketching with Sedone instead of Art of Sedone. That was I think that's what I called it to begin with, but that was when no one was watching it, and I think for a little while I was just calling it that. But then I just kind of changed it to Art of Sedone because I have some other projects. It's not just sketching, as you can see by the playlist and stuff, and like the videos I've posted by now. But sketching is a big part of it. And in some ways, kind of like what I'm doing right here, it really is the purpose. Like, there's not like on a daily basis. So if you're keeping a routine, and it could be daily, it could be whatever works for you. But the point of the routine is that it's the routine itself that is like the point, if you will. And like, yeah, it could just be something like this. And so for me, I've returned to the routine itself, and then just kind of, it takes experience to kind of know like who you are and like why you do what you're doing and what you're going to do with it. I talked about this kind of thing when I did a video about like intrinsic motivation. So for example, like I love to draw, and I love to just do the stuff that I do. But then what happens is once you kind of get pulled into that extrinsic motivation mode, where you feel like, so extrinsic motivation would be to get something. So for example, I'm sketching this because it's part of my daily sketching routine. And it's not to get a nice picture, and it's not to get a character, or it's not to get anything. But like it's there, like that idea is there, and that's an extrinsic thing. But yeah, just to kind of wrap up the idea about the extrinsic motivation. But yeah, as I do this, I'm just having fun, in other words, although there is extrinsic motivation, sort of, that's like the standard or whatever, like I mean, I do have like a certain thing I'm going for, so I'll keep talking about that in other videos also. But going back to the idea of the routine, I think for me, and I'll probably do another video where I kind of talk about like the sketching ritual, or like the art sort of process, basically. So the routine for me has to do with the timer that I use. So yeah, like I said, I use a timer. It could be a minute, it could be, and then I was doing 5 minutes for a while on the channel, on these videos, and then I started moving to 10 minutes, and that was just a kind of an intuitive thing. It turned into a character, potential character. So it's helpful. I mean, it's helpful to kind of look at something and come up with sort of the proportion, and also like the angle of the head, and also rendering techniques. And that's why, like, the routine I was talking about in the previous videos this week, how it does take practice to just draw from imagination. You have to eliminate a lot of like you have to kind of memorize things, and And that just comes from practice and repetition. I was basically doing this kind of thing, except, yeah, like I said, it was from imagination. And the thing is, like, when I look at it, now that I'm working on this, when I look at it's on the previous page right here, you can kind of see it. Like, I feel totally different about it. I'm more objective. It looks more like I'm looking at someone else's work, which I'm not as, I guess my ego isn't as involved kind of thing. So the point is that, like, that's natural to kind of, like, because you care about it. So yeah, I mean, it's natural. So you want it to be a certain way. But a lot of that is kind of extrinsic. That's why you have that. At least that's kind of my experience with it. But yeah, like, once you kind of move on from it, then you can be more objective or more like neutral about it. And that's why a routine is good, so that you can just kind of keep working on other stuff. It's like the advice about writing, where after you write, now I haven't ever written a book. I'm working on my first one, and I have like a series in mind. So, but yeah, the idea is that you just keep writing more. The other thing is that I might do a lot more of these kinds of things, where I'm just kind of talking about stuff while I sketch in this way. I think sometimes it's good to show this, because so people can kind of see, like, if you're practicing, or yeah, like working on building your skill. Now this actually changed. This actually looks like I can use this as a character. So with that said, I'm going to sign off. I want to thank you for joining me for our daily sketching routine. And if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it. And until next time, keep on sketching.